because they say the truth shall set you free, and that is the purpose of today. You were bombarded and ambushed, but because of your love for the sport, you decided, yes, it is time for you to speak up and tell your truth. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for coming through. I think I'll hand it over to the president just to tell us exactly why we are here, and then we'll get to ask some questions as well. Over to you, madam.
Thank you so much, Karabo. It's good to see you after such a long time. Thank you, the Media House, for being here. I would say it's a bitter-sweet day for me. Bitter in a way that one was held ransom and had to choose between herself and the players she serves, because I believe as the president of Netball South Africa, I'm serving the players. I'm not serving myself or any other person, but the people that we are serving are netball players. So thank you for coming, and yes, Karabo, you ambushed me. And I think sometimes silence is something that kills us all, because we don't tell the side of the story. People only hear one side of the story. And remember, what the ears hear, it's what the ear will believe and say, this is the truth and that is how it is. And then you come to a point that you realize that, you know what, me being silent is not going to help, but it's going to only make me look like I'm running away from saying things that I should say. But Karabo, a warm welcome to the members of the media, distinguished guests, and every South African who believes in the truth, fairness, and the rule of law in sport. Thank you for being here today. I've called this press conference not to defend myself, but to tell the truth clearly, factually, and without emotions. For months, I remained silent out of respect for process and for our players, who are the core business of the sport called netball, who deserves to focus, because the timing of the suspension was very questionable. Just after I launched TNL, I was suspended, coming to the flagship of Netball South Africa. I let it go. I wanted TNL to play. I wanted TNC to play. I wanted the male champs to play. But the main thing, I wanted the under-21s to go to the World Cup, to go and compete as they've competed, and congratulations to them, because it took us years to prepare the team to go to the World Cup. And also, I wanted the Spar Proteas to go to their tour in New Zealand and Australia and come, because those are the things that you prepare 3 to 4 years in advance. So you can't say they prepared it in those months. That would be telling lies. We prepare them long in advance. So to me, I kept quiet because I was threatened that if I do any netball activity, NSA will be expelled or suspended from World Netball. So it was not about me. I said, let me step aside and let the process, take course, and let the players do what they do best. Because as a former player myself, I know the importance of training and training hard for a certain reason. And the disappointment I know, because in 1996, it happened that I was disappointed as a black child not to go to the World Cup. The player I was, because of the color of my skin, that couldn't take me there. So I didn't want history to repeat itself. So I said, let me be the sacrificial lamb that has to be. I always say, where it began is like deja vu. It's a different year, but the same story. And why I'm saying that is, this is not my first time being targeted in an elective year. In 2021, I was instructed by council, which was procedural, by the way, I want to put it that way. Because once council is involved, they are the people that elected us. So they decided to put me on a step aside because of my district didn't submit my name and didn't submit my 35 rands. That's why I was stepped aside for 35 rands. That I actually paid at the time. But I decided I'm not going to fight this because firstly, why I didn't fight it is because we were hosting the World Cup. And it was the centenary in 2023 of New Zealand who was competing with us. And I said, do I put our dirty linen out there and fight netball and take this World Cup away? Or do I step aside? Again, I stepped aside for World Cup to run and to be saved. Because to me, it was not about me. It was about Africa hosting the World Cup for the first time after 60 years. And also about the players that wanted to play on a home soil and playing a World Cup. And people around Africa seeing the World Cup and seeing how it is to have the feel of the World Cup in your own mother soil. The issue was corrected. I was reinstated. I want to say to Cape Town and the late Marsha Wagner. I think she's the woman who fought for my reinstatement at the time, and other council members. But I'm going to say, to talk about her because she's passed on, and her legacy lives on, because if she didn't fight for me on that day, that woman, I wouldn't be sitting here as the president of Netball South Africa. So may her soul rest in peace. And thank you, Marsha, and everybody that made sure that I came back to be reinstated as the president of Netball South Africa. The damage was done at the time. As usual, one has to come back and fix what was broken. This was done through a targeted media campaign. Remember, I was shocked when I was sitting in council to say that a council member had information that only I knew the executive had. And I asked myself the question, why? And I said, you know what? Let's deal with the matter. I'm stepping aside, and that's it. I can tell you that the person who was leading that campaign in that council that day is the person that is leading the campaign of me now being going down. The name of the people, believe you me, I'll say them. But I'll say them at the right platform, which is the Council of Netball South Africa. That they must know who's the people who actually has put netball name into disrepute. I want to also continue by saying what could have been resolved internally, according to me, if there was a case with concrete evidence, has now evolved into an international campaign coordinated between certain members of Netball South Africa executive, members of SASCO, and World Netball. By the way, I resigned from World Netball this morning as a director in World Netball because it doesn't serve me. I rather serve my country that I grew up with, that I know better, and the continent that I belong to, Africa, than being in the world where things are happening that I don't even understand. What would have and what should have been resolved internally, as we all know, was taken to the world stage. The objective to prevent me and my nomination for president for 2025 NSA quadrennial, that will be held next week, was to block my candidacy for World Netball Vice President, because I was already approached by certain countries to say to me, they want me to be the Vice President of World Netball. That was held in July this year. I couldn't contest because I was suspended. What a coincidence. Now we're all looking at 2025 Netball South Africa elections. The same is happening. And I know for a fact that I'm a thorn in some people's, world when it comes to SASCO. Because I always go there and people want me to contest, but because I put Netball South Africa first, I'm never interested. And that's why when we were in the SASCO elective congress, when I could see that this is personal, I withdrew my name from the list. And those who were there would know that I withdrew from SASCO. Because I'm not about power, I'm about the impact that I can make in the sport that I'm leading. And we all know that in 2027, there's World Netball elections. And I know for a fact, I'm not guessing, that people wanted me in 2023. I'll tell you something that you didn't know. I was stopped by the then CEO of Netball South Africa to say, you still have a lot to do at Netball South Africa. Don't go for the world presidency in 2023 when we were hosting. On the 10th of April this year, I received a WhatsApp from the president of World Netball saying to me I must check my emails. There's something urgent. I couldn't check it on the 10th. I only went to my emails on the 11th. Because on the 10th I was doing something in KZN for NSA. Trying to save money, by the way, for NSA at the time when I went to KZN. And then on the 11th, I checked my emails. When I checked my emails, I got that I must step aside for 14 days because there are allegations against me. The allegations, it hurts me so much. Because the allegations they were talking about, it was me misusing the funds of 2023 Netball World Cup. I took the letter to the NSA lawyers, because in that letter it was also said, I bully, I harass, I intimidate, I offend staff members and executive members. So when I read that there are executive members involved and staff members, I said, I can't deal with anyone here, because I don't know who are these whistleblowers. So what I need to do is to take this to the lawyers. The lawyers answered and said, she is not involved in any NSA financials. She doesn't sign, she doesn't have a credit card, she doesn't authorize anything that has to do with finances. It came back on the 15th. When it came back, it says now they are charging me for using, no, they are not talking, they changed the topic, by the way. There are letters to prove that. I'm not talking out of head here. There are letters to prove that. They changed from 2023, now they went to Netball South Africa. Funds. And that when the staff members are asking me about the 2023 funds, I harass them, I don't want to talk. And I was shocked. Because no staff member, I can tell you that, asked me. And I think it's not even in their jurisdiction to ask me about funds of 2023 Netball World Cup. And I was wondering what happened. When the lawyers replied again and said, it's not true, even in NSA, she has no access to any money, or she doesn't control the finances of NSA. They came back to say, they changed again for the third time. It says, I use NSA resources excessively. I want to read to the media exactly what the allegations are. These are two allegations that put me at home. I need to read them. Ms. Molekwane used the resources of Netball South Africa excessively in a manner that creates an appearance of impropriety and has the potential to bring the sport into disrepute. Number two, she intimidates, offended, insulted, and humiliated staff members and board members of Netball South Africa, as well as individuals affiliated with other netball organizations, including empires. It was redone because the first one never talked about other organizations. Both charges, I can safely say they are baseless and procedurally flawed. On the financial allegations, the record is clear. The board audited, accounted for, and presented every cent of Netball World Cup 2023 funds to World Netball. I can tell you that that happened because I sit in the 2023 board. That allocation was removed from the charges. The 2023 were collectively responsible for every decision taken, and I had no access to funds. And on the 6th of September, I wrote to the chairperson of the board of the LOC. And on her response, she said, 2023 Netball World Cup LOC got clean audit. And the newspapers and everybody was flying that I spent 90 million on myself. And that's sad. And World Netball, did they care to ask me what happened? No. Never gave me that opportunity. On the matter of misuse of resources allegations, I want to put it to you that the Council of Netball South Africa, in every October AGM, the Council adopts an annual audited financial statement, which before they adopted, 14 days before, we opened the books for everybody to come and question what is there. As required by the Constitution. Remember, we are doing what the Constitution of Netball South Africa is saying. No irregularities were found of any years that I've been the president. I've always got a clean audit with my executive. It was cited in the allegations that on misuse of funds, I stayed in hotels for 157 days between 2022, 23, and 24. Most of you came driving here. And I did this to say you must come to me. When you want to go to the mountains, you must go to the mountains. I wanted you to experience what I drive every day coming to Joburg and doing things in Johannesburg and in Pretoria, because that's where the office of Netball South Africa is. Some of you took 4 hours, some of you took 3 hours to be here. And it means I must take 3 hours to Joburg and I must take 3 hours back. Because this is where I live, this is where I stay, this is my home. This is my province, this is my district. This is my town, Polokwane. And by the way, this is where I work, in Polokwane municipality. Because I'm not a full-time president at NSA. So I'm accused of sleeping in hotels. I'm wondering, and this now becomes very emotional to me, because the road that they want me to drive every day, that is N1 that you drove, that's the road that my husband died on. And people don't have hearts. So me driving to Joburg and back, it means it's nothing to them. If I die on the road and leave my 8-year-old, it's okay with them. And by the way, these people who are saying all these things, none of them are in this country. They are all in Europe. They are being given information by people in the Netball South Africa house with all this information. I have traveled extensively during 2022, 2023, and people know that because we were building towards 2023 Netball World Cup. And as we were building, there is no way that I can build when I'm sitting here in Polokwane. And you wouldn't know about netball, most of you, if we were sitting and doing nothing. It will be just another World Cup that came and passed, and that was it. And it will have had no impact in anything that we did. In NSA, the person that approves my going and coming back is the CEO. The same expense and budget for NSA and all the programs of 2023 were approved. I was just shocked that in the package that came from World Netball, there was a contract of one of the sponsors. I won't talk about the name of the sponsor. I wonder if they gave consent that their contract should go to World Netball, because contracts are very private and confidential between the two parties that are doing the contract. And that's what, when we sign contract with the sponsors, we know that that's what happens. The main question here is, who gives World Netball all this information within Netball South Africa? Because somebody must be giving World Netball this information. My last question on finances will be, how does what was approved, budgeted, and audited now become a misconduct, as World Netball is saying? On the conduct of allegations of bullying, intimidation, humiliations, these are serious safeguarding matters. To me, these are serious, and I'm saying serious safeguarding matters. They must be handled through proper internal HR channels. We even have a safeguarding officer at Netball South Africa that a person can go to. We have one in Africa, that person, and the one in Africa is West. She sits in an IOC of safeguarding committee, in IOC, in the international committee. Those are the people that should have been approached to say, this is the issue that we have, and how do we deal with the issue? No staff member, I want to put this one, has lost a formal grievance against me on these things that I said that I'm doing. Several directors have signed statements confirming that they have never been bullied or intimidated by me. You know what is funny? That World Netball dismissed those statements that were written, and those were sworn statements, saying that these directors are my puppets. What saddens me is that the former executive member of Netball South Africa, who resigned in Netball South Africa, by the way, it's one of the whistleblowers, by the way. She resigned because I told you that one day I'll talk, and when I talk, things will go out of the bag. She resigned because of I was refusing that she demotes a black empire and a female one. And I must ask the House, how many international black empires do we have in South Africa? I'll tell you the answer. Don't struggle. None. And a female empire was to be demoted. And when I said no, she banged the door and left. And I've got witnesses to that because the executive was there when she did that. But that part she'll never say to the people. She can only run and do a documentary. That part she'll never say. That I was refusing her to demote empires, not only black, even another 2 white empires, female ones that we're struggling with, were demoted. And I asked, what did you do to help them in developing so as we cannot demote them? She said, no, they must be demoted. And I'm like, we don't work like that. We are in organizations to build people, not to break people. And I'm not here to break anyone. However, to build people. She wanted to work at world level because she was an international. She didn't want to work at NSA. She even wrote a statement, which after the council have seen everything that I'll see, I'll open it up to everybody because I believe I report to the Council of Netball South Africa. they need to see those things live. That whatever I'm saying here is not a hearsay. It's things that are in black and white, that have been written. I want to say this. When passion is mistaken for intimidation, leadership itself becomes a target. On jurisdiction and due processes, I will say World Netball has overreached. Its articles 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 states that while it was international authority, member associations retain executive jurisdiction in their own countries. So if that is that, why the matter was not referred back to Netball South Africa, for Netball South Africa to deal with it as a country, as their member. Disciplinary matters involving domestic conduct fall under NSA disciplinary body and council. We have got a DC in NSA, which is 100% independent, made up of only lawyers that don't belong to any district, who are independent. Why were they not given the case? People ran to World Netball. I'll tell you why they ran to World Netball, because when we did the preliminary hearing, it was said that the case couldn't be set back because I'm protected from precedents. I wonder where. I'm protected from SASCO. I wonder which SASCO that protects me. I was protected from ministry. And actually what was said on the AfriForum documentary is true, that I'm untouchable. And I said, I wonder what kind of a person I am when I'm untouchable. And that saddens me, because that's what the people want to project people to see you, the person you are. Under our constitution, Articles 5, 6, and 34, only the Council of Netball South Africa can suspend, remove a president. Yet World Netball issued a step aside without even consulting the Council of Netball South Africa. Bypassing both the Council and the disciplinary body, it's questionable. Never mind that it did not request SASCO to investigate any misconduct. As NSA is a domestically affiliated with SASCO, that is unconstitutional. And this is not intervention. You know, there's a difference between intervention and interference. To me, this is interference by World Netball. The Court of Arbitration of Sport, CAS, exists precisely to prevent this kind of jurisdictional abuse. And that is where the matter may ultimately be referred to. There is no proof of any financial access or control, no record of unapproved expenditure, and no grievance ever filed. The only thing that I know World Netball has is the receipts that one of the executive members gave with my name on it, by the way, not NSA name on it, to World Netball. And everybody who's sitting here will understand that you cannot give my record and anything that has got my name on without my consent. We've got rules and laws in this country. And Poppy Act, it's a law in this country, which is in existence. Governance, responsibility, and the context. If there were indeed governance failures, Why have the accounting officer and the policy custodian not been held accountable? Why am I being held accountable if I don't deal with finances? All travels, as I said, SMT, claim forms, and corporate governance processes fall within the accounting officer's portfolio. The accounting officer drafted and implemented policies, and those policies were never passed in council, by the way. But those policies serve as part of the witness, the evidence in the bundle I got from World Netball. And I'm asking myself, these policies have never gone through council. How do they form part of this? So it's clear that somebody within the office took the information to World Netball without even verifying if those policies were adopted by council. Again, the council is undermined. The same policies, it was written in one of the whistleblower statements that these policies were done to, it's like they were done to protect me, to save me. And I wonder if it's an empire's policy, I'm not an empire. If it's a coach's policy, I'm not a coach. How will a policy be done to protect me? If it's an S&T policy, I'm not into finances. How will a policy be done? Because if it's a flat rate of something, it's for everybody. So why would it be done for a certain individual? So those are the kind of things that we became surprised. If the policies were never adopted by council, and every time in NSA things, in executives and other meetings, I hear governance, good governance all the time. And the same people that says good governance, they cannot even practice the good governance themselves. I want to give you something, a scenario that I think most of you don't know. In 2022, the former CEO of Netball South Africa, when we launched Twiza Club Championships, she came to me. I was sitting in her office. She called me and I went to Pretoria. And she said to me, "President, we have a problem." And I'm like, "What kind of a problem do we have?" She says, "You are over budget." And I'm like, "Why are you saying I'm over budget?" She says, "Your Twiza traveling is over budget. You need to stop it. Come up with an idea of something, of stopping this thing." That's the kind of CEO I had by then, who said to me, "Stop. You are over budget." Advised me. And did I go against her? No. I came up with all the excuses in the world when districts called me. "Sorry, districts, I know that now you are listening and you are wondering why I did that. I had to come up with all these excuses because the budget was not allowing me to move anymore. Because we were working within budget. And I was told, you are overboard. Stop this." And I stopped it. And on character and resilience, I believe that everybody knows that in 2019, I lost my husband. I lost my mother. I lost my father. During that time, everybody of you knows that I was accused of racism.